Students, in this video, we are going to study about respiratory system in detail. So as we know, this is chapter 9 of your textbook, Respiration in Organisms. So in this video, we'll be studying about respiration, that is the respiratory system in detail. The different parts of the respiratory system will be discussed, and we will be discussing about external respiration, that is the intake of oxygen and release of carbon dioxide. So for that, let us first deal with the different parts of the respiratory system. So first of all, the first part of the respiratory system is our nose. Nose leads to nasal cavity, which leads finally to pharynx, larynx, then to bronchi. Bronchi will then divide into bronchioles, and finally the bronchioles will lead to the lungs. So these are the main parts of the respiratory system which are involved in external respiration. Now let us deal with each of these one by one. So first of all, talking of the nose. So nose is the part through which the air enters through our body. It consists of a pair of nostrils which are divided into cartilaginous structure called septum. Internally it contains following things. So here you can see this is the nasal cavity, and nose consists of two pair of nostrils which are located externally, which help in the process of the taking in of oxygen and giving out of carbon dioxide. Now let us see what else nose contains. Nose contains, first of all, it is divided into a pair of nostrils by a cartilaginous structure, that is septum. Internally it has mucus and fine hair, which is also known as cilia. Now what is the role of this mucus? Mucus is present all throughout the nasal cavity, which helps in trapping the dust particles and other particles, foreign particles, which are entering the nose when we breathe. Also, apart from trapping the dust particles, this mucus also consists of an enzyme, that is lysozyme, which helps in killing the bacteria which have entered the nasal cavity through the air that we have taken inside. Now what is the role of the cilia? Cilia helps in propelling all these foreign particles outside. Okay, the cilia, which are fine hair-like structures, help in propelling, that is moving out the particles outside. Now next we have pharynx. We have already studied about pharynx, which is a common chamber for food and air. Air passes through it and moves to the trachea. Upper opening of the trachea contains epiglottis, which prevents the entry of the food particles. If you remember, we have already seen this. So here you can see this is the pharynx. Here this part is the pharynx, and you can see that this side is the, what is this? This is, of course, this will be windpipe, and this side we have esophagus. Air has to enter this side, food has to enter this side. So this is the epiglottis. This part is the epiglottis, which will close the trachea when food will be entering the food pipe, so that the food does not enter into the windpipe. So next we have larynx, which is also known as the voice box. It consists of many muscles, and these muscles vibrate due to the entry of the air and exit of the air, producing sound. Next we have trachea. Trachea is 12 cm long and 2.5 cm in diameter. It contains half ring shaped cartilaginous structure which prevents the trachea from collapsing. Since it is a muscular structure, it can also fall down, that is, it can collapse. These C-shaped structure that are present over the trachea, they are present like this, C-shaped structure. So they prevent the trachea from falling down or collapsing. This is the role of the C-shaped structures. Now, the cells lining the trachea have cilia, which prevent the entry of germs and other harmful substances inside the trachea. So the whole respiratory tract will be lined by such cilia or fine hair-like structures. So you can see this is a detailed view of the trachea, bronchi and bronchioles. So you can see, first of all, on the top or at the top we have the voice box, that is larynx. Then the larynx is proceeding into a tube-like structure, that is trachea. This is also known as windpipe. You can see the whole trachea, bronchi and bronchioles are covered by ring-like structures, and these are only the ring-like structure which are cartilaginous, made of cartilage, which help in the collapsing, which prevents the collapsing of the trachea. So now next what will happen, the trachea then divides into finer tubes or thinner tubes which are known as bronchi. Two tubes, and both these tubes will be leading into the lungs, the left lung and the right lung. The tubes, the bronchi will be leading into the two separate lungs, that is the left and the right lung, and then the bronchi inside the lungs will only be dividing into branches, and these branches are known as bronchioles. You can see these branches are known as bronchioles. So this is the structure of the human respiratory organ. Now at the end of these bronchioles, the bronchioles contain a sac-like structure. These bronchioles at their ends, they contain a sac-like structure, and these sac-like structures are known as alveolar sacs, or they are also known as air sacs or alveolar sacs. Now why air sacs? Because as we will take in air, so air will pass first of all through the nostril, through the nasal cavity, then it will pass through the pharynx, larynx, finally to the trachea. From the trachea, the air will come to the bronchi. After bronchi, it will come to the, of course, to the bronchioles, and then finally it will be collected inside these alveolar sacs only. The alveolar sacs, you can see, are covered with numerous, they are supplied with numerous capillaries which will help further in the exchange of gases. So this is about the structure of the respiratory system. Now let us summarize whatever we have seen about the respiratory tract. So it is made up of following parts. First of all, we have nostrils, which helps in the intake of air. Then we have nasal chamber, which is lined with hair and mucus to filter the air and remove dust and dirt. Then we have pharynx, which is a passage behind the nasal chamber and serves as the common passage for both air and food. Then we have larynx, which is also known as the sound box, as it helps in the generation of sound and thus helps us in communicating also. And then we have epiglottis, which is a flap-like structure which covers the glottis and prevents the entry of food into the windpipe. Trachea, which is a long tube passing through the mid-thoracic cavity. Bronchi. Trachea divides into left and right bronchi. Bronchioles, each bronchus is further divided into finer channels which are known as bronchioles. And then finally we have alveoli, which will collect the air, and these are balloon-like structures which are present at the end of the alveoli. So students, this is all for this video. I suppose you have understood the concept. Thank you so much everyone.